Analysis on what we can expect from the ANC NEC meeting. Joining me now via Skype is political analyst Sandile Swana. A very good afternoon to you, Sandile, and thank you so much for your time. So, of course, there's so much that needs to be discussed at this NEC meeting. You know, what is now called, of course, a fight against the judiciary by the former president, and now what Joel Nchitenze has also brought up against Ace Magashule, and Ace Magashule himself saying that the public protector is not somebody that needs to be attacked. Where do they start, and where do they come to a resolution?
I think also we have to pay attention to what they also identified as issues that they want to discuss in that meeting, which is the elections. And we also know that they've had big issues with the student funding, the university funding, the ESCOM, SAA dilemma. So there are actual issues that a governing party at this desperate hour in South Africa, the progress of the vaccination program, those are issues that they need to pronounce themselves on. Obviously, there is the soapy and drama stuff, the stuff of the step-aside resolution, the Zuma court cases. Now, let's start with the Zuma court case. The Zuma court case, by and large, is outside the hands of the ANC. They can discuss it, all they want to discuss. It is in the hands of the judges and the courts, the prosecutors, and so on. That is where the issue is at. There's no political party that can do anything about that. The problem that they have is that anybody in the African National Congress who wants to do something about the Zuma affair is basically demanding that the political party, which they've done before, that they must interfere with the process of justice in South Africa, which they did before for Zuma, which is to close the scorpions and scatter the NPA and compromise the security cluster. I am sure that season is over. That is not going to happen. So that is a waste of time, that aspect. Then the step-aside resolution affecting Magashule. I think we've got a long way to go with that issue, because the content of what the Integrity Commission has written has not yet been discussed to hear what the ANC NEC members think about it, and what Magashule's lawyer think about what is written in there. So those are things that can still go on appeal. They can go into all sorts of places. And the step-aside resolution itself, the last time we heard it was that the branches must also give input into it, and lately Mashatile came back and said the only input that can be given is just to people maybe to just gain a better understanding, not to say that they feel that the step-aside resolution and the regulations are actually incorrect and that they must be rescinded. So all of those issues to me seem like issues that say we still got a very long way to go.
So essentially what you're saying is the politically charged, belief that will be happening in this NEC meeting won't actually happen, and that what they should be doing themselves with matters that are before them at the moment is matters on a national stage. These protests that we've seen with the students, where an innocent man is dying. Of course, these protests we're seeing from students across the country for free education, and of course the SOEs as you've brought. You're basically saying that all these other matters that are expected to be discussed are matters that they should not even be worrying about.
I am definitely saying that. You must remember that political parties, I'm sure this is not a proper English word, but we use it here in South Africa, that somebody is launching you. But the DA and others can tell the ANC to go and fire its Secretary General in an election year and compromise its prospects in the process, divide itself further and compromise its prospects in the coming election. Now, all factions in the ANC know that the only time they have something to discuss is after winning an election. So anybody who wants to do anything, that thing must not include losing an election. So if we are going to divide the ANC further by, for instance, chasing down Ace Magashule, which is something that is within the ambit of the ANC, unlike the Zuma case, pursuing those issues right now politically may not be the most astute thing to do in terms of winning the coming elections. Then once you've won the coming elections, it's a question of discussing how you divide the spoils. When they lost the metros in Gauteng, they learned that lesson, that no matter how intense the divisions inside the ANC, when it comes to an election, win the election at all costs. So that issue is clear to them, I think.
How important is it for them to discuss vaccines? Because that is a matter that is at the very top, one would imagine, of the list of things that the government needs to be focusing on. How important is it for them to come out of this meeting with a clear plan of this is what's going to happen as we approach a third wave?
Yes, I think the issue of the vaccines, I was one of those people who were very inspired and encouraged when President Ramaphosa went to welcome and receive the first batch of vaccines at OR Tambo Airport and so on. And I thought it was a new era of accuracy, speed and efficiency in the African National Congress and in the government of the African National Congress. But I think from that time until today, we've seen that balloon actually puncturing and flattening. And I believe the DA has done an analysis quite recently to show that the pace at which the ANC is moving, they'll finish the vaccination program in 40 years. So it's very slow. It's got a lot of hype, media hype, but the actual statistics on the ground are going in the wrong direction. And those are issues, those are our lives, you and I, as citizens. That is, those are the issues that affect us directly, whether we will live or die. And those are the issues the leadership should really discuss and finish with those issues. And coming back to the student issue, the student issue is not just a student issue, by the way. The NSFAS, I believe, said that they've received an extra, I can't remember, it's 185 or 189,000 new applications that have been caused by the job losses of parents. Students who otherwise would have been able to fund themselves a little bit better in the previous years now cannot fund them, now added a further burden to NSFAS. And that is where the attention of the leaders of the African National Congress needs to go in.
And just before I let you go, Sandile, how united can we expect the ANC to come out of this NEC meeting? We've seen the likes of Carl Niehaus, Fikile Mbalula. We've seen a number of high-profile leaders just having a go at each other, not just on social media, but even in front of media, in public spaces, having a go at each other. But how united can we expect this party to be coming out of this NEC meeting in an election year?
I think that concerning the issues that will affect them in the election, I expect them to be united on those issues. And we must remember that the structuring of the ANC is a broad church. So you've got communists in there, you've got all sorts of people making up the ANC. So the ANC, to expect the ANC to be uniform in its voice is impossible. It can never happen. You've got Christians there, you've got Muslims, you've got communists, you've got all sorts of people there. So that is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. What unites the ANC is opportunities, resources, realistic political, how many seats can we actually have in parliament, how many seats can we have in the council, etc., etc. Those are the things that unite them. Anything beyond that is up for debate.
Sandile, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That is political analyst Sandile Swana joining us here on All Angles. Of course, again, senior reporter Aviu Mtila is following the ANC NEC developments.